Now let us understand difference between our computers and enterprise servers. For that, you can start with the capacity. You can go to a Windows laptop. Let me open a Windows machine on my PC, and then we will see few details about the Windows computer. And even the enterprise servers also will have some commonalities as in our PCs, but there are some differences also, and you need to understand those differences. So let us go to one of the Windows machines I have. So we'll be getting into AWS in next 15-20 minutes. Until then, we need to understand few things because the audience can be new to the Linux based environment, and hence I have to cover these things so that they understand the context, especially the concept related to virtualization and all those things at a later point in time. Now I have my Windows machine running. If I want to get details about this, what I can do, I can go to this. This is called as File Explorer. You can explore all your files using this tool. You can go to that. It is taking a bit of time. Just wait a moment. And on the left, you have this PC. If you right click on it and if you click on properties, you can see this machine have 4 GB RAM and 64-bit operating system. And these are the details about the CPU. I think I have given only one core to this. I will explain what I mean by I have given one core. For that, you need to understand the operating system related concepts. If you are using Mac, you can get that information by going to about this Mac, and it gives the details about the computer. And you can see it has 16 GB RAM and it has 2.5 GHz Intel core. Somewhere it will also tell me the details about the number of cores. I'm not sure where it is, but we can get that information also somewhere. Yeah, you can see here number of processors 1 and total number of cores is 4. So if I want to map this to the picture which I have shown here, so typically motherboard have 2 slots for your memory. In this case, when I say 16 GB, most likely it will have 8 GB memory stick each getting into the slot. So each of these can be 8 GB. And then when it comes to hard drive, I have only one. I don't have two. My Mac have something like this. Windows, if it is 4 GB, it could be 2 GB, 2 GB, and whatever is the storage space. Let me put it from the Mac perspective. So the hard drive is 512 MB, and I have only one CPU. I have only one CPU with 4 cores in it. This is the representation of my PC in this slide. Now, when it comes to enterprise servers, the first major difference will be the servers will be a lot more powerful than our servers. They might have 232 GB sticks as memory, or there can be four sticks like this, or 4 slots like this. Instead of 2, there can be 4 slots, and each of them have might have 16 GB, which means the memory capacity can be 64 GB. And then when it comes to CPU, it is quite common that they have CPUs with 8 cores in each of them, and they might have 2 or 4 or whatever the number is. It is quite common that you end up having multiples of these. And let's assume that each of them have 4. So it is a 16 cores machine and 64 GB RAM. On top of it, there will be 2 or 4 drives. It will not be more than that, but the capacity might be much higher. I have only one with 512 GB RAM. In this case, they might have 2 with 4 terabytes or 8 terabytes, which means the storage capacity can be 16 terabytes. On top of these things, if you take the example of my PC, which I have shown, which is something like this. So I'm again going back to my PC, and let me move this slide to up. Yeah, anyway, both are same, so there is no need to. I have something like this: 16 GB RAM, 512 hard drive, and then only one CPU with quad core. What happens if my hard drive is gone? If the hard drive is gone, when I set up operating system, there will be some files which will be preserved in that, and they will be gone, and I will not be able to boot my system up. What happens if one of my memory is gone? My system will start performing poorly. What happens if CPU is gone? I have to replace the CPU. Until then, system is unusable. If you think from the enterprise perspective, if those things matter here, by having this itself, even if one hard disk is failed, still you might be able to operate on certain things, but the performance will be very, very poor. And when it comes to CPUs, again, as there are 4 CPUs with quad core each, even if one CPU is gone, the performance might slow down a bit, but still it can continue working. And then even in case of memory, if one memory stick is gone, still your applications might be running with inferior performance. Out of all these things, from our perspective, everything is important except for memory, because even if one memory stick is gone, I can still use, but if my hard disk is gone or my CPU is gone, I will not be able to use it until I replace them or I get them fixed. Now, look at this picture and think about what is the most important component from the enterprise perspective, whether it is memory or CPUs or hard drives. What do you think is the most important component from the enterprise perspective? Keep this in mind. If you have to buy a new laptop, it is expensive for you. But when it comes to enterprises, buying a new computer or buying a new more CPUs are not that expensive. Keep that in mind and think out of all these things, which component is more important from the enterprise perspective. And it is very important to answer that question. The answer is hard drive. Because if your memory is gone, if the machine is gone because of all the CPUs are gone and all the memory is gone, you can remove these hard drives and put it on a new machine and you can reclaim the data. So hard drives are more important from the enterprise perspective, not the CPU and memory. To run their business on daily basis, yes, CPU and memory is very, very important. But if some hardware failure happens and if they have to go back to the state when the system crashed, then hard drives are the only ones which can give you that state, because hard drives are the ones which are used to persist the data. If one hard drive is gone, let's say you have data on those hard drives, and if one data is gone, and if that data is relevant for anything, then all those things will be affected. Until hard drive is replaced, those things cannot be fixed. For that reason, on top of local hard drives like this, which will have only operating system related files, there will be network mounted storage also. What this network mounted storage means, there will be a rack. So it is called as rack, R-A-C-K. Rack means the place where you can store something. And all this will have is a small computer. Again, there will be CPU, memory, hard drive related to the rack. On top of this thing, there will be also hard drives. Let's assume that this is an hard drive. So this is how the enterprise servers will be. There will be network mounted storage, and then there will be something called network switch. And again, this is very, very important component as part of the enterprise. And all your computers and this storage layer or storage racks will be connected through very, very high speed fiber optic internet. Network switch means similar to our Wi-Fi router. Our Wi-Fi router will have only 2 or 4 Ethernet ports, but this one have like 32 ports, 64 ports, 128 ports, etc. And you can connect as many computers as you want, and on the other side you can have as many network storage servers or whatever device is relevant for your usage. This is how the enterprise servers will be set up. There will be network storage, there will be local storage. Local storage will have operating system. Even if these hard drives are gone, I can use another system, and as my data is in network mounted store, I can always restore from here, and it can be business as usual within the SLAs defined as part of the company. It can be 8 hours, it can be 24 hours, whatever it is. The most important problem it is going to solve is ability to reclaim the data as it was when there was some hardware failures on our servers. That's why all the data will go to network mounted storage, and the racks which have the data and the actual servers like this will be connected through network switch. Whereas in our case, in our personal computer, we typically connect through Wi-Fi router or using Ethernet cable to regular router, and we should be able to access the internet. But all our data will be on the hard drive only. But whereas here, all the data will be on the remote storage server, and these all will be connected to the main servers through a very high speed internet through a switch, and they can actually get the data back and forth as and when it is required. And also if you have to recover, we can recover. So on rack, there is a concept called RAID, using which data will be copied onto multiple hard drives. So there will be multiple copies of the data, due to which even if one hard drive is gone, using other hard drives, you can still reclaim the data. And these hard drives can be replaced at any point in time. And this is very, very important to understand and visualize. On top of this network switch, for the other usage, for example, if someone is trying to access this server, they should not be using the same network switch that is being used for the servers and the storage. There will be additional network switches, and then there will be additional server in your company which will act as firewall server, and then the external traffic will come through firewall, and then the request will go through the network switch to the computer. It will not directly hit your computer. Firewall will block any unnecessary traffic and only direct the traffic, necessary traffic, through this switch. Also, there can be one more within the data center called VPN server. VPN server will make sure that multiple servers like this can interact with each other while running the applications. We will get into those details at a later point in time. For now, just focus on this slide and this slide and try to understand the difference between our regular computer and the servers in the enterprise.